Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, I've got the experience, I've put in the work? So why does attraction still feel like a mystery? You've built a solid life career, maturity, maybe even wisdom. Yet when it comes to drawing others and effortlessly, something feels missing. Almost like there's a hidden rule book no one ever handed you. Here's the twist. It's not your bank account, it's not your jawline, and it's definitely not how loud you speak. There's something deeper, something quieter, but far more powerful. Let me ask you this. Have you ever felt like there's a missing piece in the puzzle of attraction? You've gathered life experience, you've learned from your past, but still, something doesn't quite click. Most men, especially those who've lived long enough to know better, overlook one crucial element. And no, it's not about how much money you have. It's not about your looks. It's not even about how confident you appear to others. The truth lies beneath all that. It's something far more subtle. Something most men never talk about, but that women pick up on instinctively. In today's video, we're pulling back the curtain on what I call the 7 hidden secrets of attraction. These aren't surface-level tips. They're deeply rooted in psychology and supported by ancient Stoic wisdom. These quiet signals don't just spark interest, they build intrigue, earn respect, and ignite lasting desire. By the end of this video, you'll realize that attraction isn't about chasing or performing. It's about presence, it's about awareness, and above all, it's about mastering yourself. And let me tell you secret number 7. It's the one most men never discover, and it changes everything. Ready to go deeper? Now that we've cracked open the doorway to true attraction, let's explore the first hidden key, one that doesn't rely on words at all. #1. The silent language of touch. Many men assume that attraction is built through clever conversation, charming compliments, or witty banter. And yes, verbal communication plays a role. But for a mature woman, especially one with depth and life experience, words alone are never enough. What she truly craves is connection, not just intellectual or emotional, but sensory. And that's where touch comes in. When offered with presence and intentionality, a single thoughtful touch can speak louder than any sentence. In its purest form, touch is reassurance without sound. It silently tells her, you are seen, you are valued, you are safe here. Think about it. A gentle touch on her hand as she laughs. A calm, guiding hand on her lower back as she walks through a doorway. A soft squeeze of her fingers when she shares something vulnerable. These are not grand gestures, but they're felt deeply. While younger women might chase the thrill of novelty, a woman seasoned by love, loss, and self-discovery seeks something else. She responds not just to what's done, but to why it's done. She doesn't just feel the touch. She feels the intention behind it. That's why attention must always come before intimacy. Many men rush. They move too quickly, assuming that physical closeness will naturally lead to emotional connection. But for a woman who knows herself, real attraction goes far beyond physical touch. It's about how she feels in your presence. A slow, grounding gesture, like a warm hand on her back after a long day, or fingers gently brushing her arm, can be more powerful than any kiss. Why? Because it creates a safe emotional space. It tells her she's not just wanted, but cherished. Not just touched, but understood. Unfortunately, most men miss this completely. They separate physical intimacy from emotional depth. But for a woman with life behind her, those two things are inseparable. She cannot truly open up, unless she feels safe. Unless she senses that your touch is intentional, your presence is real, and your attention is rooted in respect, not urgency. When mastered, touch becomes more than physical, it becomes healing. It allows her to release the protective armor that time may have built. It reminds her that true attraction isn't about proving yourself. It's about being fully present with someone else. And when a man learns to embody that kind of presence, he unlocks the second secret. Touch, when done right, speaks volumes without a word. But once that quiet bond is formed, the next layer of attraction begins to unfold through the dance of energy, eye contact, and playful tension. Number 2, flirting with confidence and respect. A man who's truly present doesn't need to convince a woman of his worth. She senses it. It's in how he moves, how he listens, how he reaches out, not to possess her, but to connect, without expectation, without pressure. Just quiet understanding. As Marcus Aurelius once said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. That presence, that calm, grounded energy, it speaks louder than any declaration. A man who embodies this doesn't have to talk much. His gestures, his stillness, the way he makes a woman feel seen, those things say it all. Now let's talk about flirting. It's often misunderstood, even feared. Many men go too far trying to impress, acting overly confident, or pushing for attention. Others hesitate too much, afraid of messing up or saying the wrong thing. But real flirting, especially with a mature woman who values emotional depth, isn't about trying to perform. It's about knowing who you are and letting that energy invite her in. A woman with experience, she's seen it all. The smooth talkers, the nervous wrecks, the ones who rely on cheesy pickup lines or try hard compliments. What catches her attention isn't flash, it's substance. It's the man who can sit in his own skin comfortably. The one who isn't chasing approval, but genuinely enjoying the moment. Flirting, at its best, is about playfulness, not pressure. It's a dynamic exchange, not a performance. A confident man doesn't flirt to win. He flirts because he enjoys the connection. Take playful teasing, for example. She mentions her favorite dish. Instead of nodding and complimenting her, he smiles and says, "That's the best you've got? You've clearly never tasted my cooking." It's light, fun, and most importantly, it invites curiosity. This kind of banter does two powerful things. First, it keeps the conversation engaging and lighthearted. Second, it creates a subtle tension, a push and pull that makes her lean in. A mature woman loves being challenged, not in an aggressive way, but in a way that stimulates her thoughts and emotions simultaneously. She doesn't want to be placed on a pedestal. She doesn't need constant validation. What she appreciates is a man who can match her energy, keep the flow going, and make her feel something without trying too hard. True confidence in flirting isn't about dominating the moment, it's about flowing with it. It's in the small things: relaxed shoulders, steady eye contact, a half smile that lingers just long enough to stir wonder. It's in the silences too. Most men try to fill every pause with words. They panic, thinking silence means failure. But a man who understands attraction, he lets those moments breathe. He allows anticipation to grow in the quiet. And that's where the magic often happens. Flirting isn't about sticking to a script. It's not about perfect lines or practiced moves. It's about reading the energy of the moment and responding with presence, curiosity, and ease. Because, at the end of the day, a woman responds not to what you say, but to how you make her feel. If you're calm and centered, she feels safe. If you're self-assured, she feels drawn in. If you enjoy the moment for what it is, not what you want from it, that's when your presence becomes magnetic. A confident man doesn't chase. He doesn't need to. He already likes himself, and that is irresistible. But what happens when presence meets emotional insight? Flirting with confidence and ease isn't about performance, it's about presence. But when presence deepens, something even more subtle begins to stir. A quiet moment of connection that can say everything without a single word. #3. Why touching her hair at the right moment creates connection. It's often the smallest gestures, the ones that go unnoticed by most, that carry the most emotional weight. While many men focus on impressive words or grand displays of affection, they overlook the power of a single well-timed touch. And one of the most quietly intimate gestures, touching a woman's hair. It might sound simple, even unimportant, but when done with awareness, this single act can speak volumes. Hair is deeply personal. It's tied to self-expression, identity, even memory. For many women, especially those who are emotionally attuned and experienced, hair isn't just about appearance, it's sacred territory. And touching it, in the right moment, becomes more than just physical contact. It becomes an unspoken message of intimacy, trust, and attention. The scalp is rich with nerve endings. That's why a slow, thoughtful gesture, like gently brushing a strand away from her face, can stir a response that words could never match. It's not about the touch itself. It's about what the touch means. It says, "I see you, I'm here. I'm tuned into this moment with you." But here's the key. Timing is everything. Rushing into this kind of gesture, doing it without presence or emotional attunement, can feel awkward or worse, invasive. It's not something to do just to create intimacy. It has to arise from intimacy. If she's relaxed, engaged, leaning in emotionally, then a soft brush of the hand through her hair can feel magnetic, natural, almost electric. But if it's done too soon, before that energy exists, it breaks the moment. It doesn't build connection. It interrupts it. That's where emotional intelligence becomes essential. A man who understands attraction on a deeper level knows this. It's not about action for the sake of action. It's about reading the space between the two of you. It's about tuning into her energy, not forcing your own. A man with true awareness doesn't act impulsively. He doesn't touch her hair because he wants a reaction. He touches it only because the moment asks for it. Because it feels like a natural, unspoken extension of the connection already flowing between them. This is the difference between a man acting from desire and a man acting from grounded self-mastery. In Stoic philosophy, strength lies not in control over others, in mastery of self. And a man who has that kind of command over his emotions, his presence, and his timing, he doesn't chase validation. He doesn't hesitate in fear, nor does he push without purpose. He reads the moment. He trusts his instincts. He allows the energy to lead. And that, to a woman who's lived through seasons of love, heartbreak, and personal growth, is deeply attractive. So what does a man like that do when conversation becomes vulnerable? After mastering the art of timing and touch, the next layer of connection lies not in bold declarations or grand gestures, but in the quiet, everyday moments that speak straight to a woman's sense of safety and emotional intuition. 4. Subtle power of a hand on her back in public. A mature woman has lived long enough to sense the difference between authenticity and performance. She's not moved by empty words or flashy theatrics. What reaches her, truly reaches her, is a man's ability to hold the moment. Not with noise, but with presence. Sometimes the most powerful message of attraction doesn't need to be spoken. It doesn't even need to be seen. It can live in a single, quiet act, a simple touch offered with calm confidence. One such moment is when a man places his hand gently on a woman's lower back as they walk together in public. To the outside world, it might look like nothing, just a fleeting gesture, but to her, it can mean everything. This is one of those instinctive, almost primal signs that tells her, "You're not alone, I've got you." It's not about claiming her or controlling her. It's not about making a move. It's about guidance, presence, and awareness. That light touch becomes a subtle form of leadership, a nonverbal way of helping her navigate through a crowd. A signal that says, "I'm paying attention, I'm here, and I'll move with you." And when it's done effortlessly, it conveys something even deeper, that he is secure in himself, that he's able to lead without demanding, protect without posturing, be near her without needing to prove anything. But here's where many men miss the mark. Some hesitate, they overthink. That uncertainty shows up as awkwardness, and it breaks the moment. Others go too far. They overdo it. What should be a natural gesture becomes stiff, performative, or even possessive. And she notices. Women pick up on these things instantly. The energy behind the gesture speaks louder than the gesture itself. True masculinity doesn't try to dominate. It doesn't announce itself with force or showmanship. It moves quietly, confidently, and with intention. A woman isn't attracted to a man who acts powerful. She's drawn to the one who is grounded, steady, and assured. The man whose energy says, "You're safe with me," without needing to say a word. When done right, that hand on her back doesn't feel like a move. It feels like a reflection of who he is. It's fluid, intuitive, and unspoken. It tells her he's not asking for permission to lead, he simply does, because it comes naturally. Not from ego, but from presence. A high-value man doesn't analyze these moments. He's not in his head wondering, "Should I do this? Will she like it?" No. He acts because it aligns with who he is. He doesn't wait for reassurance. He is the reassurance dot, as the Stoics wisely said. Waste no more time arguing. What a good man should be one. And sometimes, being that man comes down to how you move through the world with calm, clarity, and quiet confidence. But how does this presence reveal itself in conversation, especially when emotions run deep? That quiet leadership is simple. Hand on her back says more than words ever could. But what happens when that calm presence shows up not just in touch, but in how a man protects the space around her? Number one, being her protector in small ways. Let's be clear, a woman doesn't need saving. She's spent years facing life's complexities. She's handled careers, heartbreak, and daily chaos with resilience. She's learned to stand on her own, fight her own battles, and carry her own weight. But even the strongest women appreciate something deeply. A man who brings a quiet, steady sense of protection into the relationship. Not protection through loud dominance or over-the-top gestures, but through small, intentional actions that say, "I'm here. I see you. You don't have to do this alone." A mature woman values a man who doesn't crumble under pressure. When discomfort arises, maybe someone's being rude or acting out, she doesn't expect him to fight or create a scene. What earns her respect is a man who handles that moment with calm assertiveness. He doesn't shrink away. He doesn't overreact. He simply sets a boundary with his presence, with his tone, with his energy. There's a powerful difference between aggression and grounded confidence. She doesn't need a man to confront everyone on her behalf. What matters more is how he makes her feel in the small, uncertain moments. It's walking her to her car, not because she's incapable, but because it shows awareness. It's making sure she gets home safely, not because she asked, but because he cares. It's standing calmly beside her when she's unsure, his presence saying, "You're not alone." These quiet actions linger in her memory long after the moment passes, because they don't just show attentiveness. They build emotional trust. They whisper, "I care, you matter, you're safe with me." But none of this works if a man himself is emotionally unstable. A man who panics under pressure, who reacts with anger or frustration, doesn't inspire trust. A mature woman will pick up on that instantly. If his emotions are easily hijacked by external chaos, she won't feel safe sharing her inner world. What she needs is emotional steadiness. Whether plans fall apart, tension rises, or someone acts inappropriately, he stays centered. He doesn't let outside noise shake his core. He embodies a Stoic truth. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond that matters. And this isn't about being numb. It's about being in control, choosing your response instead of being ruled by it. That kind of man, he becomes a refuge, not just physically but emotionally. When she opens up in vulnerability, she knows he won't panic. He won't dismiss her. He won't shut down. He listens. He holds space. He makes her feel seen without rushing to fix and without judgment. And women remember these moments. They remember the man who noticed when they felt anxious. The one who responded calmly without turning it into a performance. The one who didn't need to prove anything, because his presence already did. So how does a man build that kind of calm, magnetic presence? We've just explored how true protection lies in calm presence, not in loud displays, but in the quiet strength that makes a woman feel secure. And now we shift to a more playful yet deeply psychological layer of attraction. One that taps directly into the subconscious. #6. The psychological effect of mentioning a dream. About her, few things are more quietly intriguing to a woman than the thought that she's unknowingly made her way into your mind, especially while you sleep. While compliments can be charming and even flirty banter has its place, they're often predictable, easily filtered out as just more noise. But when you say something like, "I had the strangest dream about you last night," you immediately shift the tone. It sparks something primal, a subtle curiosity, a wondering, why was I in his dream? What happened? What does it mean? And that curiosity? It lingers. Dreams carry a unique power. They feel unfiltered, raw, as if they slipped through your subconscious without control, making them appear far more authentic than anything scripted. Unlike compliments that can feel calculated, a dream feels involuntary. It's not something you planned, it just happened. And that makes it even more compelling. For women, especially those with life experience, this kind of unexpected vulnerability breaks through the usual noise. She's heard the lines, the flattery, the "look how charming I am" routines, but a dream? That's different. It's mysterious, personal, and because it wasn't asked for, it becomes more powerful. When you mention a dream about her, you're not chasing her attention, you're inviting her into a story. One that she now needs to know more about. But timing and delivery are everything. Don't make it sound dramatic or overly intense. Keep it light, casual, maybe even a little playful. A relaxed tone, a soft smile, and a subtle pause go a long way. You might say something like, It was strange. I don't even know how to explain it. Then let the silence breathe. That pause, it builds intrigue. And if she asks what the dream was about, don't spill all the details at once. Resist the urge to explain. Let the moment simmer. Because what you're really doing is letting her mind do the work. This is the power of psychological suggestion. When you leave a story unfinished, when you plant a question without a clear answer, the human brain naturally circles back to it. She finds herself thinking about you later, replaying that moment, wondering what you dreamed. It creates an invisible thread between the two of you. A pull, a subtle tether of curiosity that doesn't need permission to linger in her mind. A high-value man doesn't chase. He doesn't push. He understands that attraction isn't about convincing. It's about creating an energy that draws her in. And that's the essence of this move. It's not about trickery or manipulation. It's about emotional intelligence. About understanding how people naturally respond to unresolved ideas. When done with authenticity, this simple moment becomes unforgettable. She won't know why she keeps thinking about it, but she will. That invisible thread of curiosity sparked by a dream lingers far beyond the conversation. And that's what real attraction is. Something that lives in the mind long after the moment has passed. Number 7. The psychological attraction of a well-groomed beard throughout history. One physical trait has consistently signaled strength, wisdom, and quiet dominance. The beard. From warriors to philosophers, from kings to spiritual leaders, facial hair has long been more than just hair. It's been a symbol. And while styles may evolve, the subconscious association remains firmly rooted. A well-groomed beard speaks a silent but powerful language. It says, I have discipline. I have self-respect. I pay attention to detail. It's not just about style, it's about message. Women are naturally drawn to men who radiate maturity, capability, and stability. And research backs this up. Studies suggest that facial hair often enhances a man's perceived masculinity and protectiveness. But again, it's not simply the beard, it's how it's worn. A well-maintained beard tells a story. It shows that a man is thoughtful about how he presents himself, that he's intentional, not sloppy. He trims it, shapes it, maintains it not for vanity, but because he holds himself to a higher standard. He understands that how he shows up in the world says something about how he operates internally. In this way, a beard becomes more than facial hair, it becomes a reflection of character. But there's a big difference between intentional grooming and neglect. An unkempt beard, it sends an entirely different signal, one of carelessness, disorganization, or even laziness. And women pick up on this instantly. If a man doesn't put effort into something so visible, what else is he neglecting? His goals? His health? His emotional life? If he can't manage his own grooming, how will he manage a relationship? It all ties back to a deeper truth. How a man presents himself on the outside often mirrors how he feels on the inside. As the Stoics taught, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. In other words, disciplined thoughts lead to disciplined actions. And a man who takes time to care for his appearance is likely the kind of man who also brings care and intentionality to his work, his ambitions, and his relationships. And here's the key. He's not doing it to be liked. He's not fishing for compliments. He does it because he respects himself. And that is what makes him attractive. Attraction has never been about perfection. It's about presence. When a man takes quiet pride in his appearance, not obsessively, but with dignity, he's signaling something important. I hold myself to a standard, and I'm not lowering it for anyone. That self-assured energy is magnetic. It's subtle. It's powerful. And when worn with intention, a well-groomed beard becomes a symbol of that inner mastery. So what happens when you combine all 7 of these hidden layers? Let's bring it all together, starting with the final insight that completes the picture. From the subtle symbolism of a well-groomed beard to the energy a man carries without saying a word, one truth becomes clear. Presence is everything. And when a man can lead, protect, and take full responsibility for his life, without needing to be loud about it, he becomes magnetic in a way that no tactic or technique can replicate. At the core of true attraction, it's not about tricks. It's not about memorized lines or carefully rehearsed moves. It's about who you are, the confidence you carry, the stillness in your presence, and the strength that doesn't shout, but is always felt. These 7 hidden secrets we've explored, they're not tools of manipulation. They're reflections of emotional depth, psychological understanding, and timeless wisdom. And when you truly embody them, when they're not just strategies, but your natural way of being, something remarkable happens. Attraction stops feeling like a game and starts feeling effortless, because the most powerful kind of man doesn't chase. He doesn't seek validation. He simply lives with intention, grounded, self-assured, emotionally steady. By practicing this kind of inner leadership, by embracing calm confidence, and by maintaining discipline in both your appearance and your actions, you set yourself apart, not by trying to impress, but simply by being someone worth noticing. Women aren't drawn to noise. They're drawn to clarity, to presence, to purpose. So, now I want to hear from you. Have you ever seen these dynamics play out in your own life? Which of these 7 insights hit home for you the most? Drop your thoughts and stories in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you found value in this video, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a deep dive into attraction, self-mastery, and the wisdom of Stoic living. Until next time, stand tall, lead quietly, and stay grounded.